Hi, I'm Shaza. For today, I would like just to talk about. Lately, I've been realizing something about myself. I really struggle with confidence. It shows up in so many areas of my life. When I'm at school, when I'm out in public, or even when I'm just with people I know. I notice how often I second guess myself. Like, whatever I say or do might not be good enough. I think part of it comes from comparing myself to others. When I see people who seem so sure of themselves, I catch myself wondering, why can't I be like them? Even in moments where I've done something well, where even in moments where I've downplay it. For example, when someone compliments me, I don't just say thank you. Instead, I feel like I need to explain why it wasn't really a big deal or how I could have done better. And when I do that, it almost feels like I don't fully believe I deserve the praise. And the truth is, this lack of confidence holds me back. There are so many things I want to try. Speaking up more, taking on opportunities, but then I hesitate. I tell myself I'm not ready or not capable. I think that's why I'm here, talking about it. I want to understand why I doubt myself so much. And more than that, I want to start building a stronger sense of confidence. I know it won't happen overnight, but I like to get to a place where I can actually trust myself, where I don't shrink in situations where I should able to stand tall because I do believe I have potential. I just I just sometimes feels like I'm the only one who can see it. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Hi, I'm Adrian Chin Papo, a senior high school student. And one of my personal life changing experiences was that as I reminisce into the old memories that I have, remember that I joined a challenge that I took upon in my life, which was a pageant contest. And at first, it was like I was only forced to join. So it made me insecure because I didn't know anything about this pageant, and I didn't know that it would become a life changing moment for me. That it made me realize we need to step out, or I need to step out outside of my comfort zone to truly find an answer to the question about who I am. And we shouldn't base ourselves from the judgments of others, yet we should slowly focus on how we can improve ourselves into becoming on who we want to become. And just then I found a solution to that question in that contest, that there are much more complexities in life. So we shouldn't overlook on our own insecurities. And joining that pageant, I saw the talent that I had in answering certain questions, in showcasing on what I can do, my talents, with certain amount of experiences. And through that experience, I would have never explored and find a more comforting life in where I can truly express myself on what I can feel. And again, through this experience, I can say that self-respect shall always be remembered or thought of in everything that we say or we do. And it has been a lesson for me that stepping out of my comfort zone isn't a danger, but is a first step in exploring the incredibilities in life on who we really want to become with.
A sad love life. It all began in last year when I was grade 10. When a best friend of mine, chatted me in Messenger. He asked me, James, can I make a call with you? And me, being free that time, he answered honestly, yes, I am free. Wala naman akong ginagawa, tol. And after a few minutes, he called me. He called and said, pre, and after that word, I can immediately sense that he's sad. And I guess devastated for a moment. And I asked him, what's going on? Why is your voice like that? And he answered me. He shared that he is overthinking of his girlfriend that time. Then he told me that he was jealous and actually nervous or curious if his girlfriend actually loves her. And I asked what really happened, and just he said that his girlfriend haven't or hasn't chatted him in like 12 hours, and he's overthinking. And for me, having my first girlfriend that time, I know what he's feeling. So I showed a little bit of empathy. I asked, "What's wrong with the 12 minutes? Is that normal for you guys?" Because I don't know, of course. And he said, if I remembered correctly, he said that no, it's not. It's the first time she's done this to me. So I immediately said, "Did you ask her about why?" And of course, that time he said, I don't know if it's honest, but he said, yeah, um, I did, if that's correct, and if I remember correctly. And for me that time, I actually don't know how to help him because it's their personal thing. But as a best friend and the only one free that time, I said that they should talk it out. Maybe a little bit of communicating, a little bit of if you know what's the time she's free, then I suggested um, calling her and ask what happened. And I just basically told that everything's gonna be okay. Maybe she's just busy, she's just doing something because it's LDR. And I also told to him that if she really loves you, then she won't leave you. Love don't break. That was I learned from the Bible. Um, and after that, we just literally comforted him. I comforted him and said that it's okay. It's, I guess, normal for couples to have a little bit of argument or misunderstanding. And so I told him that call me after you chatted her. And he did. He ended the call and went to minutes and a day went by. He called me again and asked, and no, he not didn't ask. He told that he was okay now. Well, what happened was his girlfriend is actually leaving her house and had to pack up. So for me as a best friend that time, I think I did a very good job comforting him at the moment because of course his voice was very worried. I can feel the anxiety. And one thing I learned from that is for me, I still have a girlfriend till this day. And for me, I learned that communication is really the key because in overthinking, it's very normal for couples. And in order to talk it out and fix it, you have to communicate. And for me, that's what I learned. I showed a little bit of empathy on him, and I took care of him and made his night better. And for me, that's a win-win. So that's my personal diary about me actively listening to a best friend of mine. My name is James Loudon Cambalon from 11 STEM 10. Goodbye.
When I was maybe 4th or 5th grade, me and my friend got into an argument. I don't recall what it was even about, just that it was something small. All I remember at the time was that we got into a slightly heated argument, and from the heat of the moment, I said something hurtful. I immediately wanted to take it back, but I knew even back then that it was too late. I was overcome with guilt when I saw how hurt her expression was before she ran away. I managed to apologize to her after a few days, and at that moment, I knew that we should um, think before we speak, because we never know that the words we say may hurt someone else.
One of the most meaningful experiences in my life was when my family and I had an opportunity to go to the United Arab Emirates, specifically Abu Dhabi, Ruwais at Al Dana City, where my father works as an electrical engineer. Before we traveled, I often listened to my father's stories about life in the UAE. He told me that the country is known for its strict laws, good governance, and discipline. He described how clean it was, how people respected each other regardless of nationality, and how life felt simple yet organized. When I finally experienced it by myself, I realized how true his words were. In Abu Dhabi, I saw a modern city filled with tall buildings, wide roads, and an orderly way of life. In Rurais and Al Dana City, I witnessed a calmer and more peaceful environment, clean, spacious, and well maintained. One thing that stood out to me was their parks. They were beautiful, well kept spaces where families could spend time together. There were many food stands to enjoy and areas where people could exercise, walk, or simply relax. Being in those parks showed me how much the UAE values both community and healthy living, and it made me appreciate how public spaces can bring people together. That journey to Abu Dhabi, Rurais, in Al Dana City was not just a travel experience. It was a life lesson. It taught me that progress is not only about wealth, but also about respect, responsibility, and unity. The parks, the order, and the discipline I witnessed inspired me to carry those same values into my own life. Listening to my father's stories and then living them myself shaped the way I see the world and the kind of person I want to become.
Hey, I will always remember the events of January 2024. It started pretty great, honestly. Academic week was just occurring, and I got another award, second runner-up in declamation. It's pretty usual for me. Third quarter was just starting, so for me it was just gonna be a bit more relaxed than usual, and yeah, it's fine. One single event will change the paradigm of my friendship. The class was divided into groups for our presentation for our English subject. This was basically normal for us with that point. And so I got to work, and in just about 3 days, I finished the presentation. It was good. The next group that presented after us consisted two of my best friends, who were at the time also best friends with each other. During that time, though, no one expected what would happen next. The report started normal. Nothing unusual with their peach-colored backgrounds and the cream-colored text. It was just a bit too small to read. From my eyes, it was good. Then one of them started shouting at the other. Apparently, it was about the roles in their creation of the report. Then the initiator started grabbing the other's hair forcefully. In a single second, the yellow walls of the room contained the breaking of friendships. Two seemingly best friends became enemies in the blink of an eye. Keep in mind that the initiator had a bit of a mental problem, especially with the control of her emotions. So, while that may have happened, I do want for at least a bit of an understanding with her. Since I was friends with both of them, I was caught in the middle of the crossfire. Even more so that I was literally seated in between them. So, because of this, I decided I had to do something. And so, to ease the tensions, I privately talked to each of them, mano a mano, in which I finally understood the details. In the end, the tensions were eased. Despite that, they never grew that friendship again. Currently, the victim still had the grudge. As for the initiator, though, I guided her through her emotional struggles, and that resulted in a resounding success. Even more so that she's actually making new friends as of now. As a friend, I still kept contact with both of them and tried to help them both during the debacle by empathizing with them and listening to their own opinions. Because of this, I was able to make a compromise that benefited both parties. That's the moral I stuck with. And for me at least, it's what I call an empathetic compromise. To make both sides happier for a happier future for everyone else. And from the looks of it, it was very much a success.
My name is Sardel Dennis Rada, and today I'm going to speak a time I listened and understood. One time, my classmate looked very sad after receiving a low grade on an exam. Instead of just ignoring it, I sat beside them and asked if they were okay. They started sharing how they felt disappointed because I studied hard but it still didn't reach their goal. I listened carefully without interrupting and made sure to understand their feelings. I told them that it was okay to feel upset and reminded them that one low score doesn't define their worth. I also shared my experience of failing once so they would know they were not alone. By listening with empathy, I saw how their mood slowly lightened and they even smiled a little. This moment taught me that sometimes people don't need advice right away. They just need someone who will listen with open heart. I learned that showing empathy and understanding through listening can really comfort me and encourage others.
So I want to talk about the time when I had this deep conversation with my best friend. We were talking about how her journey on becoming closer to God and improving her life was pretty hard. She said that before she had issues with her studies, family, and her identity. She had a hard time catching up with a lot of schoolworks, and she also mentioned that whenever she gets into a little misunderstanding with her parents, they get mad. Suddenly, we didn't speak to each other for like almost a month. And I had this feeling that she was in her healing time. Until this one time where we had this on-site exam. We did a lot of catching up and talking. And she told me that she joined this Christian fellowship organization to help her become closer to God. And ever since then, she improved with her studies, she can manage her work and time much better than before, and she has been enjoying her bonding time with her family. I learned that from her experience that we should lean on God the most whenever we feel like we are having a problem or conflict in our lives. We can also depend on the people around us because they could help us overcome whatever we are experiencing.
Last year, there was a time where my close friend asked me if I was available to go out and eat with her after school. I was confused. She isn't really the type of person to go out after school. She usually goes home and study. So, I agreed because this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go out and talk with her. After school, we decided to go to McDonald's since it's the closest place to our school. While waiting for our order, I asked her, "Is there something bothering you?" She told me that she'll tell me later once our food arrives. When we got our food, she told me everything. She told me that she was having a really hard time with her family. But instead of giving advice right away, I decided to just listen. I made sure to give her my full attention, avoided interrupting her, and showed that I cared by nodding and saying small things like, "What you're feeling is completely valid," or "I completely understand your situation." She told me that her family was struggling financially. I told her that I'd be willing to do anything to help. If I had to lend her money, I would. But she told me that she didn't need any help. She told me that she only needed someone to listen to her. As she kept talking, I realized that listening isn't always about having the right answers or giving advices right away. It's about making the other person feel heard. Later on, my friend told me that she really appreciated having someone like me to listen to her without judgment. From that experience, I learned the importance of empathy, patience, and self-reflection. It showed me that effective communication is not only about speaking, but also about listening with understanding. I now try to apply this lesson in my daily life, whether with friends, family, classmates, or even strangers. I realized that in order to understand someone, we should put ourselves in their shoes. This experience reminded me that the best way to help is to simply listen. Sometimes, we are quick to respond or give solutions without fully understanding the person's feelings or situation. Effective communication is not only about speaking confidently, but also about knowing when to stay quiet and listen with your heart.
I'm Christian Lawrence. There was one time my friends was going through a lot schoolworks and family problem. They look really down, so I asked if they want to talk. At first, they're at first they were hesitate, but they starting opening up. While they were talking, I remember myself not to interpret or give advice right away. Instead, I just focused on listening. I keep eye contact, and I said little things I like. I know I said little things like I understand, like that, or that sounds really thought, so they know I was paying attention. Sometimes I repeat what they said, like, so you feel pressure both at home and at school, just to make sure I understand them. I could see that it helped them feel more comfortable because the more I listened, the more they shared. When they finish, I didn't jump straight into solution. I told them that what they were feeling was valid, and that's it. Okay, to feel overwhelmed, I also remind them that I'm here whenever they need someone to talk to. After our conversation, they told me they felt like just having someone listen. Um, the moment really stuck with me because it's so powerful empathic listening can be. People don't actually need advice. People, people don't actually need advice or answer. They just need someone who's willing to hear, understand, and make them feel